So Mike Puma of the New York Post is reporting that Steve Cohen is going to fly out to the West Coast next week to meet with Boris and Soto personally. Now, I think this is all very curious and cute, where, teams have to, kind of dance the dance. It's going to come down to money. It's going to come down to money. So if Steve Cohen goes out and says, listen, what do you want? And I'll give it to you. And then it's done, whether he gives him the future of the Mets or not. I think it's all a song and dance that doesn't make much sense to me. It's going to come down to money. Doesn't make him a bad guy. And I know Scott's trying to spin it, winning is important. And as I said, one of the teams that checked in, surprisingly enough, and they do this a lot, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So if Tampa Bay finds $70 million a year or $60 million a year to give him for 12 years, he'll sign there, whether or not they're a constant contender or not. Now, if it came down to the Yankees, Dodgers, Tampa Bay offering the same amount of money, I think he'd go to the winning team. The winning team is going to be the team that offers him the most money.
But didn't Scott say he wants to go to a team that has a chance to win every year? How could Tampa guarantee that if they're going to put that much money into one guy?
But that's what Scott's saying, and I believe it's going to be the most money.
So what
doesn't
happens?
Make him a bad guy.
But he's going around and meeting these people. So what is Steve Cohen going to say to him other than I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars that's going to convince him to come to the Mets?
I mean, I think it becomes a dog and pony show where, they're going to ask him, well, what are your plans for the future? How much money will you spend? Will this inhibit? It's a carnival.
That's what it sounds like.
He wants it to turn into, I think he wants it to turn, and Alan said this earlier, wants it to turn into LeBron.
Well,
I wonder if there's going to be a decision show.
There might be a decision show. I don't know if it'll have the attention that LeBron got, but why not? But this is why I think it's all just, as you said, a dog and pony show. Because what it is that he doesn't want the perception to be that it's all about the money.
Right.
So if he goes there and meets with all of these teams, it sends the perception that I'm talking about the direction of the team. I'm taking a look at the houses in the area. I'm taking a look at the ballpark. And do they have a family? Like all that stuff that we assume goes into the meeting. But I think it's all just optics, right? So that he could say he did his due diligence. What it really comes down to is who's going to offer the most money.
And the perfect example of that, and me as a fan, forget about being in the business. As a fan, I get insulted when I'm treated as if I'm a child. So Mike Hampton took the Rockies offer because of the schools in Colorado. He took the Rockies offer because they offered the most money by a lot. The schools in Colorado, are you kidding me?
I think he wanted to hit in Colorado too, but I do think that was way less.
But if you make $20 million a year, and that's going to be nothing compared to what Soto makes, you could hire Einstein to be your home schooler. Forget about schools in the area.
But it's the same thing like when Giambi said that his dad's favorite player was Mickey Mantle. Like, there's always, they want to send the perception out that it wasn't about the money. What did George Young always say? When they say it's not about the money, it's about the money.
But why do they want to send that out? What do we care?
Because I think that there is that feeling of that I look like a hound, that I'm just going for top dollar. I want to make it seem like so if he signs with the Yankees and the Yankees pay him the most money, do you think he's going to say at the press conference, I stay with the Yankees because they gave me those money? He's going to go, no, the Yankees have a chance to win. I loved it here over the last year. If he goes to the Mets, it's going to be, I was really just blown away with what Steve Cohen said about the direction of the team and how well they played last year, and clearly they want to win. And if he goes to the Boston Red Sox, he'll say, oh, I just love the vibe. And like, it's always going to be a myriad of reasons why, except the reason why.
But here's what gets me. Like, he supposedly wants to meet with Hal Steinbrenner. For what? The Yankees have a $300 million payroll. They have marching orders every year to try to win the World Series. If they offer you the most money, why are you wasting Hal Steinbrenner's time? I don't get it.
Same agent.
I mean, you know the Yankees better than anybody.
All right, but let's go back to A-Rod. It was a long time ago. But same agent, same caliber of player for the era that it was.
Right. A-Rod was better, by the way.
All around, absolutely. Yeah. But we didn't know at the time with the PEDs. But you're right. Put that aside for a second. Remember the whole Met thing with Steve Phillips. I don't want a 24+1 scenario because the conversation was about like signage and tents selling merchandise. Is it about that? Is it about, all right, if I stay here long term with the Yankees, how are you going to take care of me besides financially? How are we going to work out the marketing? How are we going to work out who's going to be on the cover of the media guide? Like, is it that petty? Is that because that's the way it was with A-Rod, Michael? So is it going to be like that? Like, I can't imagine the Yankees putting up tents selling Soto T-shirts. But
A-Rod has told me that was all false. It was Steve Phillips getting out of it, so the Wilpons didn't look bad. Wilpons didn't want to spend that money.
So
he didn't ask for that. Alex, according to him, said he didn't ask for that stuff.
Okay.
He said, I didn't ask for that stuff in Texas. Why would I ask for it with the Mets,
right,
where I really wanted to go?
But that would be the only thing that makes sense why you'd have a conversation with Hal. You've just been with the Yankees for a year. You know what the Yankees are about. So what can the conversation be other than dollars?
I think it's this. It's like these baseball players never got recruited like college basketball players get recruited and college football players. So they want the owners to stand there, and they're essentially saying, dance, clown, dance.
All right, so let's say,
really, what does he not know about the Yankee organization to take up Hal Steiner's time? And I'm sure Hal would meet with him 7 times if he has to, but it's all a waste of time.
Here's what I would want to know if I were Soto. A, how much are you going to pay me? And B,
how much are you going to pay me?
No, well, not just that. It's, all right, if you pay me what I want, how are you going to address third base? How are you going to address left field? Because if Hal says to him, well, with the money we're going to have to spend on you, that probably means we're going to have kids making less money play those positions because we do work with the budget. We'll give you what you want, but we're not going to be able to spend like a drunken sailor. Okay, he files that away. Goes to Steve Cohen and asks Steve Cohen the same question, and Steve's like, listen, I'm sitting on a bunch of money. I don't care about international money. I don't care about where we draft. If I sign you, I'm going to go out and get the best players available. Like, does that hurt the Yankees' chances? Like, is that something he's asking? Is like, how competitive are you going to be? Or am I going to cripple you financially if you sign me? Like he's like, what if Soto says, I like Pete Alonso. I'd like him to be my first baseman if I sign with the Mets. Are you willing to give Alonso what he wants for me to sign it? Like, could he be having those types of conversations?
I guess you could go there. But if I'm the New York Yankees, I go, you know what? We signed Judge to a $360 million contract. And the next year we went and got you. We don't scrimp. We're going to do what we have to do.
Yeah, but he might want to know specifics.
But you know what? You're not running the team, dude.
No, well, tell that to Boris.
Right.
Tell that to Soto. Because, all right, the Yankees might want to play that way, but how are the Mets going to act? How's Toronto going to act? San Francisco's interesting to me. They got a brand new general manager. They've been snubbed by big free agents over the last few years from competing. Like, what are they willing to do, Michael, to get this guy? There might be teams that not only are willing to pay through the nose, but let him dictate who they sign. Like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing that's scary. If I'm a Yankee fan, I'm wondering how far are some of these teams not only willing to go financially, but how far are they willing to go to let him to be the de facto general manager of the team?
Well, there's an old story that, when salary started to explode in baseball, Joe DiMaggio was asked, well, what would you do in today, if you were playing for the Yankees and you're negotiating with George Steinbrenner? He said, I'd walk in the office and go, hello, partner. Mm-hmm. And, But it's hard for Soto to be the Yankees' de facto partner. That's Judge. So he's going to make more than Judge, but Judge is the captain of the team. I just think that this is an orchestrated dog and pony show.
Probably.
And the thing that bothers me the most, and this is when I would cut bait if I was a team in pursuit of him, if it's going to be a dog and pony show that's going to stretch out until January, I'm going to say I'm good. We love you. This is the amount of money that we'll give you. You have to answer us by December 15th. Otherwise, you're out. We cannot continue to kick the can down the road when we have so many holes to fill.
Right, but there are some teams that might be willing to go deeper into this winter.
If you're the Mets, is there a number that you'd be uncomfortable with?
Financially?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even with Cohen's money, if you started to dance above $60 million a year, then I think it just becomes folly. Right? Because
it could get there if you have a couple of teams bidding.
Because
that's all that Boris wants. He wants 2 big money owners bidding.
But then the reason I say that, because I can hear a Met fan going, well, he has all this money, we just give him whatever he wants. But you know how sports doesn't work that way. Then if you want to bring Pete Alonso back, how much are you willing to give him? So you're going to give Juan Soto, who is a flawed player. I mean, he is amazing, but as you just said, Alex Rodriguez is better. You think Judge is better. He's not a great defender. So it's not like he's the perfect player. And he's also not like you're guaranteed a championship if you sign him.
Right.
Well, then what am I going to give Alonso, who's been a really good soldier here? Well, all of a sudden, you're going to have a budget for him? All of a sudden, you're going to have a budget for pitchers that you might have to go out? Like, if you start throwing money around like that, then other players are going to be like, well, what about me? I might be half the player that Juan Soto is, so where's my $30 million a year? Like, so I do think you have to have some sort of a limit, and I think if it starts to get deep into the 50s to 60, that's when I'm starting to be like, nah, this money might just be a little bit too much.
I think.
Is that fair?
No, I think it's fair, and I think that the fan base that doesn't get him, let's just talk about New York, because that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If the Yankees don't get him and the Mets do, Yankee fans will be up in arms. How could you let the Mets outbid you? If the Yankees get him and the Mets don't, Met fans are going to be angry. How could Steve Cohen be outbid by anybody? So, but there is going to be a number of rationality,
right,
where some owner is going to say, I'm tapping out. I can't do this.
So forget me, forget you, the fans.
Right.
Is there a number where a Met fan or a Yankee fan will say, I can understand not giving it to him? Well, never mind the Yankees. I think the fans know, or at least should, that there is going to be some sort of line of demarcation. But the Met fan, knowing who Steve Cohen is, knowing the budget that he has, is there a number where a Met fan will say, I get it, Uncle Steve, I wouldn't do that either?
Maybe, but I don't know, because I think they felt that when a $20 billion man bought the team, that they'd get whatever they wanted. It's like a rich kid. You're going to get whatever you want at Christmas. So I don't know. I can't speak to the Met fan. I know the Yankee fan will be angry, but I will tell you this. Hal Steinbrenner is a circumspect dude. He does not have $20 billion in the bank like Steve Cohen. He is not going into his personal fortune to fund Juan Soto to the extent that it hurts the rest of the team. So I think there is a number that Hal will back out. I don't know if there's a number with Steve. Now, Steve's number might not ever get to that point if Hal backs out. If Hal goes, I'm done, then I'm done.
Yeah.
But you'll never hear it because that's an owner can't do it.
No. But here's the other thing the fans have to live with. I don't know how the Met fan will ultimately feel about it, but if the Mets were to run it back, yeah, you'd feel good about them, right? I mean, they came within 2 wins of going to the World Series.
Right.
Like, if the Yankees lose Juan Soto, even though I think it's unfair, but they won 82 games the year before Juan Soto.
Yeah.
So what are the Yankees without Juan Soto? They're not a World Series team. I think we can agree on that. I think maybe they'll be a playoff team, maybe a wild card team.
No, I wouldn't say that until I know how they replace them.
Well, I think they'll go out there and now listen. If they get Bregman, if they get Burns,
if they get Santander,
yeah. But I don't know. I'm just saying, Michael, is that as presently constituted, which is hard to say because the Yankees aren't presently constituted. There's a lot of guys that they're going to have to try to replace. Even if Juan Soto stayed, there'd be guys they would have to replace. But it's just the overall feel of the team. But I just have a feeling that I don't think there's a scenario where there's going to be too many Met or Yankee fans that are going to be like, I'm okay with not getting Juan Soto. The majority are going to be upset.
Now, I do wonder, and this, I guess we'll never know this. So Steve Cohen is going to go out and meet with Boris and Soto. If you inject truth serum into his veins, does David Stearns really want to sign a 14-year contract with this guy? David Stearns has built teams on the margins. Now he has the luxury of getting the best players because he has a rich owner, but that's not really the way he does things. Look at the way he built the team that went to the NLCS.
True.
On the margins.
I know.
Does he really want to spend that? I get it, but does he really want to sink, let's just for argument's sake, $50 million a year into Soto for 12 years?
But what are the reasons why you wouldn't want to if you're Stearns?
Because he does like to build a team through international signings and drafting and stuff like that. And if you go over the Cohen tax again, you will be impacted. Now, the Mets have a lot of room before they go over the Cohen tax again. I don't think the Yankees want to go over the Cohen tax. I don't.
Right,
and that's one of the reasons they played hardball with Cole.
But he's going to have the chance to be small market guy, Michael, once you sign Soto, of trying to stay under the limits of replacing all the other guys. I mean, you've got a rotation you have to build. So that's going to be expensive. So he could still work his magic. I just look at it this way, Michael. I think he probably doesn't have an appetite to do that. But if his owner tells him this is who I want, then you got to try to make it work. And when he came to New York, he had to have an idea that he's working with a much different budget than he did in Milwaukee.
Right.
I think,
a budget.
Michael, just based on how they handled last year's offseason, didn't it feel like they were trying to prepare themselves to go after Soto? Now, the question is, did they play well enough where they feel like he's not the necessity he was going into the season because they won 89 games and went to the league championship series? But I feel like all those one-year contracts, not diving deep into the free agent pool last year, was so that they can get ready to go after this guy.
I think so, but I think that he also likes to do business that way. He wants to keep the payroll fluid. All of a sudden, you're locked in for 12 to 15 years at $50 million a year. Again, he has an owner that probably wants to play in that playground, but does he want to? And I wonder, is it all like eyewash? Maybe Cohen's going out to talk to Boris about Alonso.
Well, maybe.
I mean, he'll touch base on Soto.
Well, he flew to go see Yamamoto, right?
Yeah.
And the reason he didn't break the bank for Yamamoto is because he got a sense that he wanted to go to LA.
He didn't want to play in New
He's
York.
not going to get that sense from Soto, right? I mean, he's not going to go in there and go, I'm not going to bid because he looks like he wants to stay with the Yankees.
No.
So we're going to find out how far he's willing to go, because I think if Yamamoto was an actual free agent and was going to go to the highest bidder, I think the Mets would have outbid the Dodgers for Yamamoto.
If they knew they had a chance, probably. Because the Yankees outbid him, and he took the Dodgers. This portion of the Michael K. Show brought you. So there has to be a plan B for all the teams that are going to Soto. Soto's at plan A because it's going to cost so much money and looks like it's going to cost time. And I keep reading and seeing, and really, the stuff that's written by some writers, you have to look underneath the hood, because some writers are using leaked stuff from certain agents to actually improve their clients' negotiating leverage. But I keep saying that if the Yankees lose Soto, that one of their plan Bs or their fallback option would be Pete Alonso. And Don, I got to tell you, I appreciate Pete Alonso as a player. He's a good power hitter. He's an okay first baseman. He's not a hack like he used to be, but he's certainly not a great first baseman. Why would the Yankees do that? How is that their plan B? That doesn't make sense to me. A right-handed batter that you're going to have to have 6 to 7 years for. He's 30 years old. Why would you do that? How does that fit the Yankee game plan with their left field? That's not the move to make. That's not your plan B.
Well, also, Michael, for all the reasons the Mets wouldn't want to bring him back is the reason why the Yankees wouldn't sign him.
Right.
Because he's just not going to be worth the money that you're asking for. And if he does come down to where he becomes affordable, then the Mets will keep him.
Right.
Because the Mets can see a bonus because they drafted him. He spent his whole career with the Mets. That's not going to mean anything to any of the other teams to be interested in the first baseman. What does that mean to the Yankees? They want to find somebody who's going to be productive for them. Now, will he be productive for them? Sure. But if he drops down to $20 million a year, the Mets will keep him. If he goes north of 30, Michael, the Mets wouldn't want him, and that's the exact reason why the Yankees wouldn't want him.
I look at it this way, and you might think I'm crazy. Like, if the Mets get Soto and they're out on Alonso, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you get Soto, you're out on Alonso, you move Vientos over to third, over to first, and get yourself some third baseman. If it's $20 million, it doesn't make sense for the Yankees. You don't need another right-handed batter. You need balance in your lineup. The Yankee lineup was so unbalanced last year that Austin Wells was hitting cleanup. Josh Chisholm was hitting cleanup. You don't need a right-handed batter between Judge and Stanton. That doesn't make any sense. You go out and you give 2 or 3 years to Christian Walker. He's a much better play for you than Pete Alonso.
Or how much would it cost to bring back Rizzo?
I don't think they will go that route.
But if they were, they gave him
a $6 million buyout, right? That instead of the $17 million. If they could get him for $4 million or $10 million, if they think he still has something left, they might do that.
No.
But I don't think they're going to go that route. There are other ways to go. If you get Soto, might put Ben Rice there. I don't know if that's advisable, but you might go that route. But there's so many ways you could play. When I hear that's Plan B, to me that's Plan Z.
And also, how many years you're going to give the first baseman?
I mean, if Alonso came to me and said, we'll take 3 years, I'd think about it. It still doesn't fit. It still doesn't fit.
But any
He's going to want at least 6.
Because you're going to want to have first base open for Judge.
Right. That's why Walker's the best play. He's 33 years old.
Yeah.
He had a plus 23 OPS. Plus 23 OPS plus. So he's 23.
That fits in,
23% better than the average player. And he's a literal gold glove first baseman. That's your play. You lock him up for 2-3 years, and then Judge moves there for the final 5 years of his contract or final 4 years of his contract. It doesn't make sense to lock into Alonso. Now, if I'm the Yankees, one of my plan Bs, and you'll laugh at me, the Cardinals are cleaning house. Now, he has a no-trade clause. But I've talked with Nolan Arenado. He's a baseball guy. He understands what works, what's important, history of the game. I go to the Cardinals and go, you eat 12 to 15 million of his 31 million that he's owed over the next couple of years, we'll take Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado is a platinum-level glove third baseman.
Yes.
You already wasted 2 years at $25 million a year for Josh Donaldson. This guy is a pro. This guy can really play. Now, he's probably on the downside.
Yeah, but
I would take my chance on Arenado. Then you get a first baseman. Then you get it. There's your plan B.
Yeah,
it doesn't include Pete Alonso.
I don't think Arenado's going to age the way that Donaldson did.
No, I don't think so.
Now, he might be on the back nine, but he's still, as you said, an A-plus defender. He can hit. Even with the numbers in Colorado, he hit in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So he's going to be, that would be a great plan B. Yeah, but Alonso, but you just said it, Michael. All of these writers are connected to Boris. Boris is probably feeding him because he wants to try to get a big market team involved. If people think the Yankees are involved in Pete Alonso, that's going to drive the price up.
Right, and the Yankees, and we've said this before, owners and GMs are not allowed to say we're not interested in this guy. So the agents could play that game, but according to the basic agreement, Brian Cashman can't come out and say we have no interest in Pete Alonso. None. Can't do it because it inhibits the market. So you kind of handcuff that way, and then a smart agent like Boris could leak it to certain writers, and they're going to say, well, the Yankees are in on Pete Alonso. I would be stunned if they're in on. Maybe they end up signing him next week, and I have egg on my face. I'd be stunned if they signed Pete Alonso.
You're being honest from what you know, from what you understand, and I'd be floored too. But I just think that we gave the reason. Boris is in their ear, and fans connect it too. New York player, you need a first baseman, get Pete Alonso. So I can understand people buying into that.
But now, if you are a Met fan.
Yeah.
Take the fact that Pete Alonso is a forever Met at this point, and he's like maybe one season away from breaking the all-time home run record. So there's some value to that, but it shouldn't override common sense. The best move for the Mets, you move Vientos over to first, and then you sign Bregman.
Yeah,
for less money than Pete Alonso. You're a better team.
You saw the way Vientos played in the postseason, and he's still a kid.
I have one more thing that if I was the Yankees, I would think about. Nobody would agree with me, but I've talked to baseball people, and I think is a perfect fit. Jeff McNeil, Yankees. Yankees should trade for Jeff McNeil.
Yeah,
Jeff McNeil at that ballpark, I was told by a guy in the know, would hit 25 home runs at Yankee Stadium. So I said, isn't he kind of like, They say, no, he loves baseball. He's a baseball rat, and he would love playing at Yankee Stadium. The field suits him, and he's a much better defender than people give him credit for. So if they do that, Don, then you could keep Jazz Chisholm at third, and you don't have to worry about getting a third baseman. And the Mets probably want to get rid of McNeil, and maybe they eat some of that money.
Yeah, the worst thing that happened to McNeil was that batting title, because I don't think he was that kind of player.
Right.
But he just had a tough year. He was hurt. But in that ballpark, could make sense, and he is a good defender.
Friend of mine just sent me Arenado last 3 years OPS went from 891, 774, 719. So, yeah, he is on the back.
No, he's on the back. Yeah.
But you know what? He could field with anybody.
You won't lose anything defensively.
You could look at numbers like that for Pete Alonso, too. Look at his batting average.
Yeah.
Look at his home run totals.
And it's been tough in St. Louis the last couple of years. Could he be rejuvenated? I don't think he's going to age like Donaldson did. He is going to still be great. And listen, Donaldson was good defensively as well.
And also, Donaldson was a little bit of an irritant.
Yeah. No,
I like Josh. I got along with him. But Nolan Arenado is a good guy in the room.
Right. But he's also, he got into it with the Mets. He's got a little edge to him,
Yeah,
too.
he does have edge. But I like that. That's
there's a difference
one of the
between...
reasons I got Donaldson, because they thought he had edge. But he also had edge in his own room.
Right.
So, and then, what he got into with Anderson didn't help.
No, that wasn't
the Jackie comment.
Yeah.
So, I know there was a declining production from Arenado. That guy's a stud baseball player. I would take my chances if the Cardinals eat a lot of the money.
Yeah.
I'm not paying them $31 million.
No, but if they might eat it, sure. Why wouldn't they?